Welcome to Think Global Education Services. We're going to look forward to SAT writing rules, subject verb agreement. So that's the first rule for getting the start, the basics, very basic. Now, why am I saying very basic? Answer this question. If I were to ask you, how do you define a sentence? And when I say that, I don't really want you to tell me, any learned definition. Just generally, you would most likely say that a sentence is anything that has certain words and it has some meaning. Correct? Okay. Let's work this out. So if I say with your definition, let's have a screen first. With your definition, if I say on the table, is it a sentence? Well, it's not. And why is on the table not a sentence? It has some words and it has a meaning that on the table, like something on the table, right? Now, if you use your common sense, you'll probably say, oh yeah, something is on the table, and that's where on the table comes up with meaning. Or if I give you a sentence which says, go out. So again, using your common sense, you'll be saying that, oh, somebody's asking me to go out, so let me just go out. But you are assuming all that. You're hearing and you're assuming. But when we write any such um, uh, sentence, it's always incomplete and incorrect, and that's why not called a sentence, because we don't know who's acting. We have to assume who's acting. In order to be a correct sentence, I have to say something like, the phone is on the table. Or I'll have to say, she should go out. So every time I need to tell that this is what I'm talking about, I need a subject, which should tell you that without the subject, a sentence is always incomplete. This is called the subject. Without the subject, the sentence cannot exist. Also, so now let's say I say the phone on the table, or she go out. Now, in some part of the world, I know when people do not know how to speak English, they use these sentences, she go out or the phone on the table. But that's incorrect. In order to be a correct sentence, I also need a verb. So the phone is on the table. She should go out. I need that verb. That is why the first and the most important rule for SAT grammar is subject and verb agreement, because no sentence can exist if your subject and verb do not agree with each other. Saying so, I do not mean that this is the most important rule because you'll have most questions testing you on subject verb. No, I'm just saying that you need to learn this so that at no point you are going back to your sound good approach to solve any question. With sound good approach, believe me, you will get certain questions correct, but not all. And as I keep saying to all my students, our target is to get a 800 on 800, and we're not targeting anything low. So let's focus on these rules in order to be safe on the test. Now let's move on to another screen, and let's move to what exactly is subject verb agreement. We basically know that singular subject goes with singular verb, plural subject goes with plural verb, correct? Now, because you already know this, it sounds very simple, but that doesn't mean we know the rule and there's nothing more to it. For example, if I were to say singular subject and plural subject go with each other, I will say she eats or they eat. Will I ever say she eat or they eat? I won't. Yes. Now SAT also knows that. So it's not going to test you on something as simple as this. in order to make it more complicated, they're going to add a lot of garbage between your two subjects and verbs. That's one way of telling, trapping students, and all the other ways, of course, exist. So we'll be discussing all that as well. But the basic rule is that singular subject, which is subject, anything that we're talking about, goes with singular verb, any action. Verb means the action. Now, action could be represented with words like eats, sleeps, dances, teaches, any of these actions, or you can use some helping verbs like is, was, were, um, are, has, have, had. So you can use some uh, helping verbs. But no matter what, there has to be a verb, at least one verb that goes back to the subject. There can be multiple verbs in the sentence because there could be multiple, not subjects, but nouns in the sentence. So that's basically a rule. With this, you should also know something which is quite important, that subjects that carry S are usually plural, whereas verbs that carry S are usually singular. Yeah, like I said, eats. Eats is singular. I'm pretty sure most of you would be thinking, I already know this, but you know what? Now, when we move this eats to something like infers, requires, imitates, if you look at something which is not too commonly used verb, then many of you forget that. In the questions, the way SED tricks you, you tend to forget that. So remember that subjects with S are most likely plural and verbs with S are most likely singular. All right. So with that, if we have understood what is the subject, what is the verb, we know that for any underlined part of the sentence that you see on the test, you will find where is the subject and where is the corresponding verb, and you will check for its agreement, if subject and verb agree with each other. All right. Now, let's understand what all subjects can be singular, which will also tell you what all can actually be your subject. So if in your mind, so I would want you to pause the video over here and think what all could be your subject. Write it somewhere before we go further. All right. If you would have paused, and let's move further then. So I'm sure you've got nouns. Nouns can be your subject. No, any name, place, animal, thing can be your subject. Also, pronouns can be your subject. So some common subjects would be noun, pronoun, some uncommon subjects, gerunds, infinitives. Now, if you don't know what are gerunds, infinitives, don't worry, don't go into a lot of details of what it is. We'll write it like this. Gerunds are basically verbs along with ing. So remember it this way. And infinitives are also verbs along with to. Now, does that mean I'm doing verb-verb agreement instead of subject-verb agreement? Well, let's say it this way. When you add ing to verb, it does not remain a verb at all. When you add a to verb, it does not remain a verb. For example, if I say singing, singing is not a verb. Sing is action. Sing is verb, but singing is not a verb. Would you ever say she singing or they singing? You will always say they are singing, she is singing. Yes, so is and are the verbs there. So gerunds, verbs with ing, are not verbs. So it's not a verb-verb agreement. It is still a subject-verb agreement. And there's a lot to learn over here about gerunds and infinitives, which we will be in our next few videos where we will be discussing the question types. But for now, it's important to know that these are some commonly tested subjects: noun, pronouns, gerunds, infinitives. All right, let's go further. Some subjects that are usually singular. Let me add, gerunds and infinitives are not too commonly tested subjects, but the good part is if ever tested, they are always singular. All right. So we know that if you have something like singing is my hobby. So is singular verb is used. Or teaching is my profession. Again, is. To teach excites me. Excites, not excite. Yeah. So we're looking for singular verbs. Right. Now let's go further. Certain other subjects that are always singular. Any noun that follows a, an, or it follows a one, a football, an idea, one time. Any noun, if it is followed by this, that means it's a you're using a singular noun which requires a singular verb. All right. Next, collective nouns. So if we do not know what are collective nouns, do we know what are collective nouns? Well, if we do not know what are collective nouns, let's look into it. Let's see what are these. Collective nouns are basically nouns in a group. So, for example, if I were to say something like the chain of mountains, if I were to say team, if I say audience, all of these means the audience has number of people, a lot of people together. It's called audience. Or a lot of members in the team, or jury, again, lots of members. So that's the collective noun. Collect. So now let me put an asterisk here. Collective nouns are singular. Mountains is plural, but the moment I said chain of mountains, it became singular. Team is singular. Audience is singular. Yes. So you're going to use singular verbs along with it. But I felt that let's put an asterisk over here. Reason. The moment you say collective noun, it does not always mean that the collective noun will cannot become plural. It can if my term itself becomes plural. So if I say something like team of boys, five boys, which is plural, but I'm talking about team. I'm not talking about five boys. So I'm going to say is going to win. But if I say teams of five boys, then I will say are going to win. So you see, collective is singular, the word collective, the team. But if I change that team to teams, it will become plural. All right. So what all subjects are singular? A, an, anything with one, or collective noun. But remember that there's an exception. If your collective noun itself becomes plural, the noun itself changes its usage, then it can be, then we can use a plural verb also. All right. Next, the number of. It's always singular no matter what. So, usually the word the and anything represents something singular, and the anything makes something specific. We all know that. But when it comes to number, the difference between the number and a number means a lot of something. Now, how much is that? We don't know, but a lot of something. The number of also means lots of, but we know that it's specific. The number means a specific number. So the number is singular and a number is plural. Whenever I'm saying plural subject, the number is plural subject or a number is plural subject, what I basically want to say is that it's going to use a verb which is singular. The number of boys in this class is low, not are low. The number of boys in this class are low? No. Are the boys low? No, the number is low. Okay, so it will be is. Countries is always singular. Even if you're saying things like the United States, it ends with S, but it's singular. The Philippines, it ends with S, but it's singular. Careful with words like each, every, any, and none. If these words are used, these pronouns, these are the pronouns, are used in a sentence, and then you have a noun which is plural, your subject is this pronoun, so your verb will be singular. each of the girls are interested? No. Each of the girls is interested in participating for the event. Okay. So the moment I said each, it doesn't matter after that it's girls, boys, children, or whatever. Each is singular, so the verb will be singular. Moving further. At any point, if you feel that you're not able to understand this, you need to make more notes about it. Pause your video, listen to it again. If at all you feel that it is still not clear, please write it so that in our one-on-one sessions, we can discuss this further. Okay, let's go further. Any word that ends with one, thing, or BODY, everyone, something, nobody. These words will always be singular. Okay, so these are certain things you have to remember. If you see all of this on your test, you would know that you're looking for a verb, singular verb, and if it's written plural, then you're looking for ABCD, one of the option, which is using a singular verb. Okay, moving to plural. So now we just did the subjects that are always singular. We're moving to the subjects that are always plural. Any subject that has and in between. Lily and James. So I have and, Lily and James, two people together. That means now our subject has become plural. So I'm looking for a plural verb. Jimmy and Lily are going to the party. Okay, only and. That does not mean if I say Jimmy as well as Susan are going to the party. That's wrong. If you say Jimmy as well as, I'm still talking about Jimmy. So in that case, I will use is. Okay. Subjects beginning with a number of, which we discussed earlier. A number of anything is plural. Subject beginning with all, most, and some. These three words are representing, these are pronouns, are representing the sentence to have a plural verb. Okay, let's do a few quick questions here. Jimmy and Lily. So you have an and in between. Remember, and makes it plural. So is or are no longer batchmates. What you can do with these sentences is that the moment I read the sentence, you tell yourself the answer or you pause the video, answer this question before I answer it. All right. Jimmy and Lily are no longer batchmates because of this and. Ricky, in addition to Susie, Carl, Rebecca. So I have so many people. Is or are going to beach on Saturday. What do you think? So we're talking about Ricky. In addition, we have not used the word and. We are saying in addition to all of these. So that means our subject is still Ricky. Addition to whoever, I don't care, but my subject is Ricky. So is going to the beach, not are going to the beach. Neither Jack nor his friends is or are able to meet Paul. So who's meeting Paul? This or this? So friends are meeting, then you will say are. If Jack is meeting, then you will say is, right? So who's meeting? How do we know that? For this, I want you to make a note of it so you don't forget. It is important and many people do not know it. Whenever you see the word nor, your subject lies here, right? So your subject in this case is his friends. It's not Jack. Neither Jack nor his friends are able to meet. In the same sentence, if I change neither his friends nor Jack, I will say is. So whatever comes after nor becomes your subject. Okay. Next one. Everyone of the golf balls dash been hit into the sand trap. So we're talking about golf balls, right? Golf balls is plural. So you will want to choose the word have. Golf balls have been. Yeah, you would want to. But look at it. Although they're together, is golf ball my subject? No. My subject is every one of the golf balls. Everyone. Yeah. So this means I'm talking about something singular. And that's why the answer here is have. Next one, collective noun. You see, the chain of mountains that I see from here. So am I seeing the mountains? Of course, you're seeing the mountains, but am I talking about the mountains? No, I'm talking about chain. I'm talking about how they all are together. The chain. So the answer is beautiful, not are beautiful. Okay, moving further. Every dog has or have paws. Every represents singular. So the answer is has. The number, so we discussed this already, the number of hardworking students versus a number of hardworking students. The number, if you would want to go back a little in the video, the number is singular, a number is plural. So the number of hardworking students is few. A number of hardworking students are few. Okay. If there's any doubt, pause, repeat 1 to 8. Okay, this will give you a good recap about whatever we have done in subject verb agreement. Now let's see 2 sample questions before we wind up this video. So this is how your questions will be. This is one of the sentence from the passage. This is another sentence from another passage. A part of it is underlined. 4 options are given to you. So what do you do the moment you see the question? You read the question. You look for the underlined part. You ask yourself, can I identify anything wrong in this sentence? If yes, let me go to the options and eliminate those options. Like if you compare these options, it says have, has, and has. Now I can't have a sentence correct with both had and both have. Either have is correct or has is correct. So if have is correct, that means C and D are out. If has is correct, that means A and B are out. Yes. Similarly, if you look at these, provide, provides, provide, provides. Now you cannot say he provided and you is correct and he provides this is also correct. Either one of is has to be correct. So if provide is correct, then B and D you don't have to read. If provides is correct, then A and C you don't have to read. Okay. So that's a trick. If you don't find this split in the first part of the sentence, you will find it probably at the last part or somewhere in between. So what we're doing is, instead of reading this full sentence, then putting all the 4 options one by one over here, we read the sentence, of course, and then we look for where we scan. We look for where is the difference. And then with each difference, we keep eliminating options. Okay, let's see. Since 1929, the number of telegrams delivered annually have decreased from this. So what have decreased or what has decreased? Telegrams have decreased. Telegrams, yes, or anything else decreased. Telegrams decreased. Can telegrams go down? No. The number, the count, the number of telegrams. So the number of telegrams have decreased or has decreased. It cannot be, the number is singular, so it cannot be have, which means very simply I will say that this option is out and even B is out. Now let's look at C and D. Has decreased from 200 million, has been reduced from 200 million down. Now if you see, you have down and you have reduced. This is called wordiness, which is another rule that we were to study later. Remember in the introduction video of writing section, we did this, that there's something called wordiness. SAT does not like wordiness. If I've already used the word reduced, I don't have to use the word down, which means option C is the correct answer. Now, if you do it this way, you will guarantee a correct answer. You will not be uncertain about it. Yeah, let's move to the next question. If you want to, please replay this question, understand, and then move to the next. Solve it yourself before you listen to the explanation. Analysis of whale sounds provide evidence that animals other than humans use a fixed format of communication. Provide evidence or provides evidence? So who's providing this evidence? Let's find out. Analysis of whale sounds provide. So are the sound providing anything or the analysis is providing something? Yeah, I'm sorry, this sentence is underlined from here. like this. Yeah, this is underlined from here. So analysis is providing something. The moment I say analysis, we know that an analysis is singular. So option A cannot be correct because provide is plural. Remember, verbs with S are singular. Yeah? Provide over here is also plural. Provides is singular. Analysis of vowel sounds provides, okay, analysis provides evidence that animals or an animal. Analysis of whale sound. So is it only one whale, an animal other than a human, or analysis of whale sound provides evidence that animals, all the animals, other than humans, all the humans, use a fixed format of communication. Now look at the meaning. Am I comparing one animal with one human? That only one of them provide something, or am I saying provides evidence that animals, like all the animals, versus all the humans? So all the humans use fixed format of communication, right? It's not just one human, and that's why, because of meaning, option D also goes out, and option B is our correct answer. Okay. So in a sentence, you would be tested on, of course, the basic grammar rule. Apart from them, the things like, redundancy or wordiness or meaning or punctuation. You may have, so for, apart from these questions, you may have certain questions where in one question you're tested on multiple rules. It's a subject verb agreement based question, but both the options are correct according to subject verb agreement, but one of them is wrong because of punctuation. Yeah. So we'll see more questions like this. For now, thank you for watching subject verb agreement video. Next, let's move to the pronoun video. All right.